Yep. Yeah, it's the daily drops of Dexter Dewayne. Dexter Dewayne, let's get it. A little bit of tech difficulties in the beginning there, but hey, it's all good. It's okay to wait, but don't wait too long. It's okay to wait, but don't wait too long. Wanted to talk about patience and pacing. And if you're new to the journey, welcome. Follow me on all platforms at Dexter Dewayne. That's DEXTERDEWAYNE 5. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, etc., etc. But yeah, patience and pacing is a dance. Patience and pacing is a dance. You don't want to move too fast. You don't want to move too slow. And if you're unfamiliar with what we're doing here right now, I have been doing this every day since like November. And I have also been hitting the 10,000 step challenge every day for like the last 16 days. And there is a result that comes from that at some point. There is a result that comes from that at some point, but it's not going to be immediately. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be the next day. It's not going to be in a month. There's probably going to be a year before I start seeing any sort of fruit for anything that I'm doing right now. And I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people have this expectation that the fruits of your labor is the reward. And I've talked about it before. Sometimes it is the journey. And I want to break it down a little bit deeper, right? When you commit, to something and you follow through with the commitment, sure, you will reap the rewards at the end, but there is a reward that you get every time you choose yes, regardless of how you feel. So like I said, I've been filming these every day since like beginning of November, 10,000 steps every day. And I'll be real with you today. Today I was tested and I was pushed in a direction where there was a version of me that would have said, screw it. Today was too hard. You'll hit them tomorrow. And I didn't choose that version today. I chose the version that said, I don't care. I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it anyway. Which might be not be too much of a deal for too many people, but it is a big deal for me, because for me, I am a huge pivoter. I love to pivot, and I don't like to wait 100 years to get some sort of result. Sometimes I will just pivot before it. Matter of fact, someone said it best. They said, you are too busy, too concerned with proving to people that you're a gardener, that you rip out your plants before they have a chance to grow and blossom. And that was me. I would pivot so many times in so many directions because the pivot felt more like work than the consistency did. Me pivoting and coming up with new plans and new MOs and new goals felt more like work than the pivoting did. So what ended up happening is I would pivot and pivot and pivot, and I wouldn't reap any sort of results for anything. I wasn't reaching fitness results. I wasn't reaching mental results. I wasn't reaching results in my education. I wasn't reaching any sort of results in anything I was doing. And in order to numb that pain, it was just easier to just say, hey, I'm just going to not commit. I'm just going to pivot and act like hey, I'm doing something new. This is going to be a restart. I'm going to put in all this effort, and now this is going to be the day. This is going to be the day. And it wasn't. And I wasn't being patient. I wasn't being patient enough to commit. I wasn't being patient enough to pace myself in order to make sure, hey, like, just ride this out and you're going to reap some sort of result. And yeah, going back to the 10,000 steps, going back to the videos that I make here, there was a part of me that almost came out. Right? It usually comes out after about 4 days, but there's like different points where they'll come out where it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I can skip today. It's just one day, but one day turns into 2 days, 2 days turns into a month, right? So I've really chosen a different person today. I've chosen to be a different person. I've chosen to be someone that says, hey, this is what I said I was going to do every day. And as soon as life got a little harder, you punked yourself out. We're not going to do that this time. We're going to show up regardless. Bump how it turns out. Okay. This is a little bit more of an unconventional episode of Daily Drops of Dexter Dewayne, but bump how it turns out. There is a requirement, and the requirement is being met by showing up. And you don't know what type of fruits that's going to produce. And it feels good. It feels really good. It feels good to show up for yourself. It feels good to be consistent. It feels good to have a pattern and a routine and a certain standard for yourself. It feels good to maneuver something that you've planted and watching it grow and develop into something amazing. That is something that no one can take away from you. When you decide you want to commit to something, when you decide to say, hey, I'm going to go all in on this thing, and I'm going to go at my own pace. All right. I'm going to be patient with the process, but I'm also going to pace myself to make sure that it's something I can do every single time. So when I came up with the idea of Daily Drops with Dexter Dewayne, I thought, hey, I'm going to set the camera up. I'm going to have the microphone and everything is going to be, polished. And, there was a part where I was pivoting towards having slides and, a visual presentation and all these other things. But the pacing of that was not going to work. The pacing of that wasn't going to work. I was going to burn myself out really, really quickly. So when I switched over to Restream and I said, yeah, Restream, this works. And I know I'm going over the 10 minutes. I said I was going to stick to the 10 minutes, but again, this is going to be a little bit more of an unconventional episode here. Behind the scenes, right? When I started setting up all of that stuff and I knew, okay, all of these things that I have to do in order to get to the end result, which is filming an episode, I knew that there were going to be days where I wasn't going to be sitting in front of that computer. I knew there were going to be days where I didn't want to sit in front of that computer. I knew there was going to be days where, I was just not going to do it. And that was going to kill my consistency. So I needed to pace myself, right? Having patience with what I want to do, but also pacing myself in a way to make sure that the pace that I'm on is going to be sustainable. And I knew what I was setting up was probably going to be nice if I was doing it once a week or once a month, but it wasn't going to be sustainable if I was going to really do this every single day. So I had to pivot. And as I started pivoting to something that works, that works for me, that says, hey, this is something that I know for a fact I can do every single day with no excuse, it allows me to be patient enough when it comes down to the final product, the end goal. Because I know, hey, if I just wake up and I just do this, if I just do these two things, and again, these are my two things. Well, really three things. One, go to the gym. Two, 10,000 steps. And three, film these episodes. Every single day for like a year. I gotta walk away with something. And Eric Thomas said it best. He said, behind your feelings is nothing, but behind every principle is a promise. So the principle of showing up every single day, doing something that you can do and pushing yourself a little bit, right? Like, I'm not saying just, 10,000 steps is going to be the only amount of steps that I do each day. Some days I'm probably going to do a little bit more. I might bump it up to 15 at some point, right? It might bump up to 20,000. Or these episodes might not just be audio. I might bring the video and I'll bring the, the visual aspects up a notch. But the patience and pacing allows me to adjust to a level that I'm comfortable with, that will still allow me to keep this as a habit, keep this as something I do each day. It's guardrails. Like, I know the bare minimum of what this looks like is going to be enough to produce results. So now I'm going to challenge myself to do something that's a little bit past the minimum each time. And if it's something that I can constantly sustain, then okay, this becomes the minimum now. This becomes the minimum now. This becomes the minimum now. So whatever started with, 10,000 steps, or the way I do these episodes, it started here and now it's up here and now it's up here. And now this is the standard and this is how we do it every day. And it feels like just another day in the neighborhood. There's a lot of, that feels good. That feels great. And that's the part of me that I'm really working on. That's the part of me that I really want. I want to unlock that part. And today, as I was laying in bed and I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I'm just like, man, I don't feel like hitting those 10,000 today. I don't feel like recording an episode. I was like, man, nah, not this time. And to say it like this, but that version of me needed to die, and it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight. And hey, we just keep fighting. Anyways, that's all I got out here.